the past decade of number one overall picks. So I'm going to start at 2015 and then take us through last year's first overall pick. So AJ, you're up first. We go back to 2015, and this is actually an interesting story. Dansby Swanson was the first overall pick. He was not selected by the Atlanta Braves or obviously the Chicago Cubs, the team he plays for now. He was selected by the Diamondbacks, and they shipped him away 6 months later.
They did, and I was there when that trade went down. Shelby Miller got traded for Dansby Swanson. And listen, I got to play with Dansby. He's had a great career. He's made a lot of money. He's won Gold Gloves. He's won a World Series. You could argue there might have been a better first pick, but he's a solid player. He's a solid big league player that brings leadership, great defense, and a solid bat. This was a good number one overall pick by the Diamondbacks. The bad part was when they traded him away for Shelby Miller, who's now back with the Diamondbacks 10 years later, but Shelby ended up getting hurt, missing a bunch of time, but Dansby Swanson here was a good number one overall pick.
I could not agree more, and the Diamondbacks should have held on to him. But we get to 2016, and you're like, okay, first overall pick was Mickey Moniak at the time, high school outfielder, highly, highly hyped. Kratz, and for the Philadelphia Phillies, it was a big swing and a miss by, at the time, I believe, Matt Klentek, the GM of the Phillies back then.
He was trying to go here. Instead of trying to go get the best player, he was going to go get the most players he could get in his pool, and it didn't work out. It doesn't mean Mickey Moniak's not a big leaguer, and he hasn't had a good career, in the role that he plays, but 1-1, it's quite a few more. I know in the top five kind of has struggled a little bit. Senzel was in there. Ian Anderson was in there. He had a run with a World Series, but this is also the same pick that had Will Smith, a franchise-changing catcher in it. You sit there and you go, okay, we weren't going to take a catcher 1-1, but when you go cheap, sometimes 1-1, sometimes it doesn't always work out for you.
Yeah, I hate that move. Just take the best player on the board. You do not get the first overall pick very often. Don't get cute. 2017, yeah, the Twins went with Royce Lewis, AJ, and it's still TBD how that one will pan out because, he has had some really, really successful moments at the plate, but he cannot stay healthy. And then this year kind of turned into a disaster for him.
Yeah, he just hasn't been healthy. When he's healthy, or when he was healthy, until this year, he's raked, and he's been one of their best hitters. So, yeah, TBD, no, but who was picked behind him? Hunter Green, right? Who would you rather have, Hunter Green or Royce Lewis if you're the Twins? Let's be serious. So, yeah, it hasn't worked out for Royce. At the time, I could see the pick. I could see why. He was the best bat. And when he's healthy, or when he was healthy before this year, he has raked. So I could see why they made the move. The problem is he just can't stay healthy.
Yeah, I feel bad. He's a good kid. The Twins also were working him around to the outfield at one point. That's when the injuries popped up for him, the really significant longer-term ones, right? He tore up, I don't remember his knee, Achilles, but whatever it was bad when he smashed into a wall and missed a lot of time. Let's get to 2018, Casey Mize for the Detroit Tigers, who was looked at as a massive bust of a pick, and then 2025 happened.
No doubt. You change things up and you get past a few things in your development. Not everybody develops at the same pace, but I think some organizations, that's why you go to an Auburn University. You go to the University of Florida and take your first round pick. You think they're a little bit more developed and you think they're going to impact the big leagues a little bit sooner. His impact's starting to be really felt. But you also had the same draft as like a Brady Singer who's a very developed pitcher. Same draft though, notable. The Tigers did get Tarek Skubal, so I think it was in the 8th or 9th round. So you sit there and you go, they were looking for pitchers. They just found their superstar in a different round.
Yeah, they got the best player in the draft in the 9th round. If they were going for college starter, Logan Gilbert would have been the choice. He went number 14 overall to the Seattle Mariners. If you're looking for college starter who was first round projected, because Skubal wasn't and then ended up becoming a beast. 2019, Adley Rutschman for the Orioles. And here's another up and down story, AJ.
Yeah, but you at the time, he was the right pick. College catcher, switch hitter, power. This guy was undoubtedly the right pick at the time. Now, would you rather have Bobby Witt Jr., who was taken number 2? You can make that argument, but in the same draft, they drafted Gunnar Henderson. So were they going to take Witt and Gunnar at the same draft? I don't know. Adley was the right pick. Adley still has a time to become a great player. He's made all-star teams. We've seen all those things he can do when he's right. This was the right pick for the Orioles at the time and still has a chance to be an unbelievable pick down the road. And they got to re-sign him too. Let's not forget.
Yeah, but your point about Bobby Witt is also up there to consider. That ended up being by far the best player in that draft. But I get it. I mean, high school talent, there's definitely some risk there. But oof, I got to watch a few Bobby Witt prospect games when he was a high schooler, and I was like, he is way better than any of the college players that you're seeing that year. I mean, he was special even at that time. Ball sounded very different clicking off the bat. 2020, Spencer Torkelson, the first overall pick, and the Tigers had that one too. Kratz, he did have a 30 home run season a couple of years back, and then really has resurrected himself this year. Proud of him for putting it back together. Him and Mize are a big part of why this team's so damn good this year.
He is a prime example that if you work at something, even as a 1-1, you can get back to the big leagues and be a huge impact. I saw this guy in 2019 when we were qualifying for the Olympics, and we played at his school. I think it was Arizona State, and we played him, and they were like, this guy's going to be a first rounder. And then I started hearing during the game, maybe even 1-1, and I was like, whoa. So he comes up, and he's putting together big-time at-bats, driving breaking balls away to the opposite field. So you could tell he was skilled. Obviously, if you're going to go back to it, they probably should have gotten Garrett Crochet out of the University of Tennessee. But 2020 is, you always have hindsight 2020.
Yep. And in 2021, Henry Davis was the first overall pick out of Louisville, another catcher pick for the Pirates who tried to save some money to use it later on. And I believe that's when they got Bubba Chandler. So that's good for them, but they missed.
Well, they went cheap. They went what Kratz said about what the Phillies did with Mickey Moniak. They tried to save money so they could get better picks later on in the draft. Henry Davis, if you talk to most people, was a surprise as the 1-1 pick. The thing for me about Henry Davis' development is they tried to make him an outfielder. They didn't make him develop into a catcher. He's catching this year, but he also has Joey Bart there. So to me, this was more of a miss on development than it was on actually Henry Davis, because the Pirates, like, you don't take a catcher 1-1 unless he's a catcher. His value is as a catcher, because if you're just looking for a bat, there was other guys in this draft that you could have taken for bat. So this was a miss by the Pirates in the fact of their development, not on Henry Davis.
2022, the Orioles went with Jackson Holliday, and that one looked obvious at the time, Kratz.
For sure. Even now, it's a little too early. You see his upside, but you also see the fact that it's okay if you struggle when you first get called up. Mike Trout struggled when he first got called up. How the organization helps him to continue to develop will be huge. And yeah, Neto's probably the most valuable player right now, but I don't think the Orioles ever really care about finished products. They just want to have, prospects coming through their system. To me, Jackson Holliday was a slam dunk. He's a great kid, and I think he's going to have a great career. I thought there was a point this season, had he continued to stay hot, could have been an all-star.
Mm-hmm. I'll do the last two here. 2023, Paul Skenes nailed it. Pirates learned from their mistakes from a few years back. Just spend it on the best overall player, and that's usually the best way to go. 2024, Travis Bazzana, I mean, not even cracking the bigs yet, but should be soon. So we'll see what happens for the Cleveland Guardians. Nice little look back at the past decade of number one overall picks. This segment powered by Arena Club. Use code FOUL for 20% off your first slab pack or your card purchase. Slab pack, aka you get something real nice if you buy one of those packs and look for something and don't find it, then there's a buyback program with Arena Club as soon as the card pops up.